This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sanjay Pinto.
Evelyn Matthew, on the news tonight, we cover Chennai, 360 degrees.
Right, and if you live in the vicinity of what's considered hot property along OMR, Old Mahabalipuram Road, beware of those exposed electricity cables just waiting to snap up the next victim. 40 people get electrocuted every month alone in Tamil Nadu. And just recently, a 7-year-old schoolgirl had a miraculous escape when she accidentally touched a live wire running through a departmental store in Kandanchavadi, that's pretty close to where our studio is situated. Now, shouldn't this be as much a priority as tackling the power cuts? We throw the spotlight on this shocking danger and the high voltage indifference of the electricity board in this power-packed bulletin.
But some departments are working overtime, like the Chennai Corporation. It has a huge task of cleaning up the city in 90 days, and with 500 crore rupees, what's your wish list for the city?
Well, we may be quite accustomed to reading about prostitution rackets being busted in Chennai every fortnight, but hold your breath. Ever wondered if a pimp could actually masquerade as a nurse in a top-notch corporate hospital and try to lure patients recovering after surgeries into her world of sleaze? On the big question tonight, do we make no bones about the flesh trade? We've got the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Flower Bazaar, T.S. Anbu, well-known lawyer, activist and National Vice President of PUCL, Sudha Ramalingam, and G. Jebaraj, Director of Just Trust, an NGO that works against human trafficking. But all that in a very short while from now, after the headlines with Evelyn.
Thanks indeed. Let's take you through the top headlines we're tracking at this hour. Chief Minister Jayalalitha lambasted the Lankan Defence Secretary for his comments on economic sanctions made at the Assembly. Says it's like the devil quoting scriptures. The Chennai Corporation kickstarts its clean-up act at 30 spots, including market hubs. If there's something rotten in your street, call 1913. The Chennai police busts a prostitution racket. The kingpin used to work as a nurse at a corporate hospital. High-tension live wires lie exposed out on the streets of Chennai. Even after these death traps claim innocent lives, the TNEV does little by passing the buck. And a security agency in the city is denied a contract by a temple only because it is run by a man of a different religion. There's also been plenty happening across the nation and across the world as well. Let's take you through some of those headlines. British Prime Minister David Cameron hits out at rioters, says there needs to be more discipline starting out at a school level. A father who lost his son appeals to the rioters. NDTV visits Ground Zero where 3 British Asians were killed. Shocking visuals of how police shot unarmed fleeing farmers who were protesting on the Pune-Mumbai highway on Tuesday. The Modi government targets another police officer who may be charge-sheeted for handing over phone call records to the Nanavati Commission. The Mayawati government bans the film Arakshan based on reservation. The Punjab government holds it till a committee decides. After the Dow loses more than 500 points over recession fears, Asian markets follow. The Sensex ends 0.5% down. Our top story tonight, the Chief Minister played her card for the Sri Lankan Tamil Brethren on the 4th day of the Assembly today. Ms. Jayalalitha blew her top over comments made by Sri Lanka's Defence Secretary, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, on a resolution by the state that sought economic sanctions for its war crimes. She in fact compared his remarks to the devil quoting the scriptures. The Assembly moved a special attention motion to condemn Gotabaya. In addition to that, the DMDK, with support from other political leaders, brought a special attention motion as well. This has been in the backdrop of the thousands of Tamil civilians who've been killed in the recent wars. Amma has now urged the centre to summon the Sri Lankan envoy in Delhi to condemn these remarks. The Chief Minister, in fact, today clarified that the resolution passed in the Assembly on the 9th of June was based on the United Nations panel of experts report, which found the allegations of war crimes against Sri Lanka credible.
இலங்கை தமிழர்களுக்கு மறுவாழ்வளிக்கப்படும் வரை, இலங்கை தமிழர்கள் தங்கள் சொந்த இடங்களில் மீண்டும் குடியமர்த்தப்படும் வரை, சிங்களர்களுக்கு இணையான அந்தஸ்து அவர்களுக்கு கிடைக்கும் வரை எனது தலைமையிலான அரசு ஓயாது என்பதையும் தமிழர்களின் இந்த நியாயமான உரிமைகளை வென்றெடுக்க தேவையான ராஜதந்திர நடவடிக்கைகளை எனது அரசு எடுக்கும் என்பதையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொண்டு, தமிழ்நாடு சட்டமன்ற பேரவையில் நிறைவேற்றப்பட்ட தீர்மானத்திற்கு உள்நோக்கம் கற்பிக்கும் வகையில் பேட்டி அளித்துள்ள இலங்கை அரசின் பாதுகாப்பு செயலாளர் திரு கோத்தபய ராஜபக்சேவுக்கு இந்திய தூதர் மூலம் தனது கண்டனத்தை மத்திய அரசு தெரிவிக்க வேண்டும் என்று கேட்டுக்கொண்டு அமைகிறேன்.
Moving on, gambling dens, yoga and beauty parlors doubling up as massage parlors and brothels run in commercial and residential areas. The sleazier side of Chennai is keeping our cops busy. Last evening, the Chennai police raided a number of gambling dens and also a hotel in Parry's Corner, where a prostitution racket was run smooth as silk. 2 pimps were arrested while the 2 rescued girls were sent to the government home in Mylapore for rehabilitation. Our crime correspondent Salim throws light on the modus operandi of the pimps operating in Chennai. It was an anonymous call that made the cops see red, alerting them of flesh trade flourishing in the busy business area. Inspector Chellappa decided to go undercover and agree to be a client for a whopping 12,000 rupees an hour. Once the decoy reached the spot, the police followed and nabbed the pimp. Yes, that's a nurse all right, meant to tend to the sick. Police say she was working as a nurse in a well-known private hospital in the heart of the city. She sweet-talked many patients and transformed them into customers. She also established contact with the infamous Dr. Prakash and became a pimp with strong interstate contacts. Once a customer, now a pimp. Altaf, in the guise of a taxi driver, lured passengers. 2 young girls have been rescued from their custody. How do pimps like them operate? Simple. They target poor rural families, promise them 30,000 rupees a month and bring away the young girls and pocket a cool 30 lakhs a month themselves. The girls are switched once a fortnight and the offer of fresh faces keep the customers swelling.
The police say that their hard work does not last long. The pimps who were detained under Gundas Act managed to come out on bail within 2 months with their strong social contacts.
Police say the crackdown will continue in Chennai. The target, not just the brothel houses, but massage parlors, gambling clubs and overnight pubs. In Chennai with Salim, Evelyn Matthew for NDTV Hindu. Well, that issue doesn't end there. Sanjay Pinto asks the big question at 9 tonight.
Thank you, Evelyn. And the big question is, do we make no bones about the flesh trade? Joining us in our studio, Mr. G. Jebraj, who is the director of Just Trust, an NGO that works against human trafficking. Joining us through our OB van live is Mrs. Sudha Rambalingam, well-known advocate, respected activist, and the National Vice President of PUCL. And the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Flower Bazaar, Mr. T.S. Anbu. We'll go to Mr. Anbu first. Thank you very much, Mr. Anbu, for joining us. We know you have a meeting. Appreciate your time. Now, how do these pimps actually come out on bail in a few weeks or sometimes even days, and they are back to their old ways? We have several cases in Chennai to go by. Now, isn't the Gundas Act being effectively being slapped on them?
See, any pimp, if he get caught repeatedly, definitely Gundas Act has been slapped on them. It's not that they are let off just like that. The Gundas has been slapped on them. They've got 2-3 steps. First they go to the board and they go to the High Court. But police definitely slaps Gundas on them, and any notable pimp is detained under Gundas Act.
All right, Mr. Anbu, put your hand across your heart and tell me, can prostitution take place in a city like Chennai, or any city for that matter, without police patronage, without police connivance? Is the unholy nexus being broken at least now?
No, we cannot say it as a nexus or this thing, and it cannot be told that police is patronizing all these things. It cannot be termed like that. Police, wherever there is wrong things are going on, police is definitely on the lookout for these things, and we are booking them to the legal action. And as such, I don't see that too in Chennai City Police. I don't see any patronage or any link to these groups. We are all out, we are going against them.
All right, you're being politically correct, Mr. Anbu. Mr. Jebaraj, no police connivance, no police patronage. How does it go on?
So we cannot say like that. See, they are equalizing prostitution and trafficking. They are not giving priority to the issue.
No, but why? Let's not play with semantics, prostitution and trafficking, but answer the question. Police connivance, without police connivance, can this happen?
No, it is in a clandestine nature crime. I mean, most of the time police, some people.
You're saying clandestine operations. I mean, there are colleagues of mine who go back home late at night and they find people, girls standing right there waiting to be picked up. Open soliciting is happening.
Yes, happening in Nungambagam, it's happening.
Then you're saying clandestine?
No, that is prostitution. Trafficking, the innocent girls are being trafficked, and the indulgent prostitution forcibly, that is in a clandestine nature.
All right. Mr. Anbu, now pimps also allege that the cops harass them, the cops in fact go for their jugular if Mamul is not paid and false cases are filed.
This is totally absurd allegation that they are making. It is not so. Since our actions are very strong against them, they come out with all such baseless arguments against us.
All right, sir. Also, Section 8B, I know it's been slightly amended and repealed also in a sense of the Suppression of Immoral Traffic Act. Now, it talks about living out of the earnings of prostitution and a public place. Now, these are the real ingredients of the offense. But are these ingredients always made out? Is a hotel a public place or a private place? Hotel room, I mean. Or do the cops usually end up making out a case of soliciting in public even if it isn't the case?
No, it's see, 8B as such, the section has been repealed where you book even the victim in that section. It is not like that now. See, if a hotel fellow is engaged actively in engaging this business, he is definitely taken into task along with the pimps. Now, as such, when we get the victims from this group, we actually send them to the government homes where after thorough verification of any relatives, that are blood relatives coming and claiming that they are relatives, after thorough verification only the government home releases them to till the time they are being kept in the government home. So, if the owner of the lodge or the owner of the house has any knowledge about this activity, they are also booked. Police doesn't make out any time that they are being caught up outside or this thing. It amounts only to the knowledge part. If he has a knowledge, yes, he is also into the case.
Mr. Anpu, one final question before we let you go. Is it true that the so-called high-class offenders operate with impunity and only the small fish get caught, as is always the case?
No, police doesn't have any such differentiation. We all out go against everybody, even it is a high class or it's a low class. You would have seen already before also that how Chennai police has acted against even high class people, high class such activities. We go all out against everybody.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Anbu, for joining us on The Big Question. It's over to Mr. Jebaraj. Mr. Jebaraj, not long ago the Supreme Court came up with an important observation saying, it asked the Solicitor General of India, if you can't curb it with laws, why can't you legalize it?
Yeah, after that the Supreme Court recently gave a notification, a judgment to rehabilitate the women in prostitution. That's why this month 24th is on the hearing is coming.
But yeah, if you legalize it, many would say that you can regulate it, you can monitor the trade, you can provide medical assistance, you can remove the stigma. The crown of thongs could become a crowning glory for all you know, become a full-fledged industry.
Right. What you are going to legalize? Legalize the prostitution?
Let me remind you also, Kautalya's Arthashastra, the income of pimps was taxable.
Right. The thing is, according to Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, prostitution per se is not at all offence. Prostituting others is offence.
Making a living out of the earnings of prostitution, yes.
Living on the earning of prostitution of others, not the same person. And running a brothel and living on the earning of prostitution, procuring girls, or intent to procure is also offence. Detaining a person in a brothel house with or without consent is also
so you're against legalizing it?
Yeah, we are against legalization because prostitution per se is not at all offence. See, according to Supreme Court judgment, Visaljit versus government